right. Well, hopefully you can all hear and see just fine. I want to welcome everybody tonight to the Understanding Stress Talk, How to Live a Long, Healthy Life. If you don't know, my name is Dr. Tabor Smith, and my wife is Dr. Gina. And, of course, I brought a picture of her right there, beautiful Dr. Gina. That is Little Ryder. And if you know my family, if you know Little Ryder, he does not look like that anymore. He does not look at all like that. I'll show you a little bit more recent picture. Here is him last summer in his swim pants, and this little kid is a water dog. I'll tell you that much. Once he gets in the pool, you cannot get him out. But he is a Cairo kid. He gets adjusted, he gets checked and adjusted, and he gets his power turned on. He's one of the healthiest kids that I know because of it. But that's not what he looks like anymore. This is what he looks like now. This was his 2-year birthday in January. And so he's even older than that now. It's crazy how fast they grow. But you know, I always start this talk off by telling a little story, telling how I became a chiropractor. And you know, when I was young, I was just like Ryder, right? I was just like every kid out there that runs and jumps and crashes in his bike and falls off the doghouse and jumps out of trees and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. I also played sports all growing up. And you know, I got in high school. I was 16 years old. I started having low back pain, and I was just like every family out there. We didn't know about chiropractic. We took over-the-counter medications for pain, just like most people do, right? And it helped a little bit, but it didn't help a lot, and my pain kept getting worse. So my parents took me to a doctor, a medical doctor, and I was prescribed pain pills. I was given some anti-inflammatory and muscle relaxers. But the pain kept getting worse and worse, and it would help a little bit when I got doped up on the meds, right? But it didn't fix anything. It didn't help to correct what was going on in my spine. And it got so bad, I would have shooting pains down both my legs, and at night, several nights it happened, I would lose strength in my legs. I couldn't even get my own legs into bed. And on nights where I would just completely go weak, my parents would get scared. They would take me to the emergency room, and I would be given more pain pills and more anti-inflammatories. And it just wasn't adding up, and nothing was helping. Thank God somebody told me, somebody told my parents about chiropractic, and they took me to the chiropractor, and I started seeing the chiropractor every other day before school. And within 3 months, my pain was completely gone. I was a normal, 16-year-old kid again. I could function. And it's been that way since. I haven't had another problem like that since I've been getting adjusted and I stay in proper alignment. And, you know, it changed my life. It literally changed my life. In chiropractic, I've seen chiropractic change a lot of lives. And that's one of the reasons why I do this talk. But it's not the reason why, and I'm going to share the reason why I do this talk with you. Because chiropractic, you know, everybody knows is good for neck and back pain, but it's also good for other things. I want to tell you a little story about my mom. When I was growing up, my mom was constantly ill. She'd been a type 1 diabetic since she was young. She grew up in and out of medical doctors' offices, and she started taking meds for all the different types of symptoms. By the time she was in her 30s, her diabetes was out of control. She lost control of her kidneys. She had complete renal failure. In her 30s, she had to go on dialysis. They had to take all the blood out of her body, clean it, and put it back in her body 3 times a week. By her 40s, she developed Charcot joint, which is a debilitating joint disease where your joints just turn to powder. She was in a wheelchair. She developed heart disease because she couldn't move and exercise and do anything, and she passed away from a heart attack at the age of 47 years old. And so, guys, that's why I do this talk, because I realize the power of chiropractic, and not only chiropractic, but the lifestyle that I'm going to share with you today. Some things that we can do now, some things that we can change that will help us to live a longer, healthier life. First, I want to share what the problem is, okay? And I want to tell you a little bit about the stressed out life and how we can win this battle. You know, the first thing you have to do is first you have to realize stress is actually a real thing. This is a dictionary's definition from Webster's Dictionary. It says it's a specific response by the body to a stimulus that disturbs or interferes with your normal physiological equilibrium. Now, let me put that into my own words here. Basically, stress is anything that your body has to adapt to in order to survive. And there are three sources of stress. You know, I know we think there's a lot of different things that stress us out there, and there are, but they can be boiled down into three different things. The first one is physical stress. Everybody knows about this. This is when we slip and fall. We get in a car accident. We're playing sports. We get banged around. As a kid, we're learning to walk. We fall almost 2,000 times in the first 5 years of our life. And this is all physical stress on the body. The second source of stress is toxins, and we're all exposed to toxins no matter where you're at. Just the environment we live in is packed full of toxins. It's not even if you you don't drink, you don't smoke, you're still exposed to toxins from the food you eat and the air that you breathe, and those types of toxins are stress on the body. Now, the third type of stress is emotional stress, and we're all very familiar with this type of stress, right? Job struggles, family life, financial things that plague us, and this emotional stress can cause problems in the body, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But your body has a stress response, and this stress response is a God-given response. If we didn't have the stress response in our body, we wouldn't be able to survive not a day, much less as long as we do live. And so stress can come in two types, and it's always going to cause the same stress response, but it can come acutely, which means we are stressed and then we get over it and we're able to go on. Or stress, like in most people's lives today, can come chronically, with chronic stress. That means day in, day out of just stress on the body. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the stress response, but I need you to understand first that these changes that I talk about, the stress response that I talk about, it's absolutely necessary for your survival. It's a God-given system that He put in your body. So if you couldn't produce these changes that I'm about to show you, you'd die. You wouldn't even make it through a day. Let me give you an analogy of the stress response, okay? Let's say me and you were walking along in a jungle of all places. Me and you are hanging out in the jungle, right? And we're walking along, and all of a sudden, bam, this huge Bengal tiger jumps out in front of us and just roars. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's enough to cause the stress response. Now, the stress response is also called our fight or flight system. So as soon as our brain perceives that threat, that tiger's the threat, it's going to send messages to every cell in our body telling us threat, right? So it's going to go into survival mode. And, well, initially what's going to happen is you're going to have to make a decision. That's why they call it the fight or flight. You're going to have to stay there and fight, or you're going to have to get the heck out of there. And by the time you make that decision, I will be about half a mile down the road running for my life. But that said, I want to show you exactly what happens when that tiger jumps out of this, physiologically, in your body, that gets you prepared to deal with that stress. Here's what happens. The tiger jumps out. Bam. Your brain perceives it as a stress, and instantly, I mean, faster than you can snap your fingers, you have a message that's sent to your adrenal glands, and your stress hormones are secreted all over your body within seconds. Now, what do these stress hormones do? Well, here's the thing. The stress hormones, first, they increase your heart rate. And this is important because you need to get blood and oxygen to the muscles so you can run from this tiger. They increase your blood pressure because that also helps you get blood and oxygen to the muscles. They increase, the stress hormones cause an increase in blood glucose. Remember glucose. Glucose is your energy molecule. You need this in your blood in order for you to have energy. The stress hormones also instantly increase fats in your blood and cholesterol in your blood. And this is to prepare for wound healing. If you're injured by that tiger, then you need fats and cholesterol in your blood for clotting, blood clotting, and also for more of this hormone or steroid stress hormone production. Now, what else happens? Feelings of fear increase and anxiety. Everybody's like, duh, there's a tiger in front of you. Of course you're going to be afraid. But that's built in the system. Imagine if a tiger jumped out in front of you and you weren't scared. And your brain wouldn't be working, right? So that's built in the system. You're going to have feelings of fear and anxiety so that you can concentrate on that threat. Your ability to think, to remember, your short-term memory, your ability to learn, that all goes down. Bam. You're not going to be able to think about geometry right there in front of that tiger. And that's a good thing, because if you're stuck on geometry, the tiger's going to eat you while you're trying to figure out a math problem, right? So all this is part of your system, your stress response. Now remember this, because this is important too. Serotonin is downregulated. That's your sleep molecule. Adrenaline is upregulated or produced. That is your energy molecule. So you're not going to fall asleep while you're staring at a tiger. And again, a good thing. Can you imagine running from this tiger and then all of a sudden, bam, fall asleep? You wouldn't be living long after that. So this is another thing that these stress hormones cause. Remember, all of these things, this is what stress hormones do. They increase sensitivity to pain. And this might kind of floor you in a second. Like, why would we need to be sensitive, more sensitive to pain? But because if that tiger were to get you, you'd be able to respond quickly to that injury. Now here's what's interesting. Your cellular immunity, or let's say your immune system, right? Your immune system goes down. Your ability to produce growth and sex hormones go down, and your bone loss actually goes up while your stress hormones are in your blood. Why would you do this? Well, let's think about it. Your body needs energy to activate the immune system. It needs energy to produce more growth and sex hormones. It needs more energy to build bone. And so your body is so smart, this stress response is so necessary, it's going to take energy from areas of your body that aren't absolutely necessary for survival right at this second and shift it and move it to areas that are absolutely necessary for your survival so that you can get away from that tiger. Perfect. God created that. That's beautiful. But that's the acute stress response. That means we get away from that tiger and we chill out and we calm down and stress hormones are out of our system and we can rebuild. I want to show you what happens when we're chronically stressed. We're living the stress response. We're constantly secreting stress hormones. Well, the same thing is going to happen. Our brain perceives stress, and it tells the adrenal glands, still fast, I mean faster than you can snap your fingers, it sends a message to the adrenal glands, and it tells your adrenal glands to produce stress hormones. The problem is it never tells your adrenal glands to stop because you're so stressed out. So your body's still doing this. Your heart rate's still going up and your blood pressure is going up because remember, increasing your heart rate and your blood pressure got blood and glucose to your muscles so you could run from that tiger. But now over long periods of time, we're wondering why we're seeing more heart disease, hypertension, heart attack. Those same stress hormones, remember we said they increase blood glucose in your blood so that because glucose was an energy molecule and we needed that to feed our muscles so we could run from the tiger. But now over long periods of time, high blood glucose is causing diabetes, hypoglycemia. Remember fats in the blood and cholesterol? That was important too for wound healing and to make more hormones. But man, when we have that in our blood for long periods of time, we're looking at hardening of the arteries, stroke, cardiovascular disease, not to mention obesity. Remember our feelings of fear and anxiety? Well, that's normal when you're stressed, when you're running from a tiger. But gosh, if that's all that you ever have day in and day out, of course it's leading to that depression and bipolar and other problems, psychological problems. Our short-term memory was down, remember, and our ability to learn. We can't really learn algebra or geometry in front of a tiger. Well, over long periods of time, I'm wondering why we're seeing more ADD than we've ever seen in our country before. Oh, and I told you to remember this. Our serotonin was our sleep molecule, and adrenaline was our energy molecule. We don't want to fall asleep when we're running from a tiger, but over long periods of time, we're looking at chronic fatigue, burnout, insomnia. Of course you can't sleep when you're just pumped up full of adrenaline because you're so stressed. Remember, sensitivity to pain was up so that we would know if we were injured. Now we're looking at chronic pain and fibromyalgia. Decreased cellular immunity, decreased growth, sex hormones, increased bone loss. Those things weren't important when we're in front of a tiger. But when we're stressed all day long, day in and day out, a lack of immune system can lead to cancer or being sick all the time. Growth and sex hormones can lead to infertility or menstrual problems. Bone loss can lead to osteoporosis, accelerated aging. Now, guys, here's the key that I'm trying to get across is we're never meant to run from a tiger all day long as we live. That's what happens when we're constantly stressed. Guys, we just covered virtually every major health issue that we have in society. We covered heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, ADD, depression, obesity, anxiety, fatigue, chronic pain, osteoporosis, fibromyalgia, lack of sleep, decreased sex drive, infertility, indigestion, accelerated aging. I can't even say all of that in one breath that we covered. And the problem is these are all diseases of a stressed out life, of a lifestyle. We weren't designed to live in that environment of chronic stress. We call that a pathological environment. Now, before I show you how to fix this, I think it's very important to understand our healthcare system. And in our medical system, in our healthcare system, we see all of these normal responses. That's the body's normal response to stress, but we see them as symptoms instead of normal responses. And what do we use to rectify symptoms or to treat symptoms? And I think everybody on the line here is going to be saying, well, we use drugs or we use surgery. Those are our two tools, right, in the medical system. Here's the problem. Drugs and surgery lead to more drugs and surgery. Guys, it's a spiral. I've seen it 100 times. My mother, when she died at the age of 47, she was taking 22 prescription strength medications. 22. She started young taking pills, and it just continued to spiral. She couldn't get out of it. She'd take one for the side effect of another. And don't get me wrong, I'm not speaking down against our medical system. I think there are great reasons for drugs and surgery. I think we need them sometimes. Number one, I think a great reason if you are actually in a health crisis. Let's say you have blood pressure that for some reason is completely out the roof and you're going to have a stroke if you don't get a blood pressure medication. Then by all means, take the blood pressure medication. But don't just expect it to make you healthy, because it's not going to. And I don't think we should expect to take it for the rest of our lives. I think we should change some of our lifestyle so that we can get off those drugs. Cancer, those types of things. Sometimes if we're in a health crisis, we need the medical system. Here's a great reason to use the medical system: emergency or trauma, a car accident, a broken arm. If I get a broken arm, don't take me to my chiropractor. Please take me to the emergency room so that they can fix me. There was a study by the World Health Organization, and it showed that we are in the nation, the United States of America, we are number one in emergency care. Out of the top 40 industrialized countries, we're number one in emergency care. This is the best place in the world. If you're going to get injured, they'll save your life. But in that same study of the World Health Organization, it also ranked us number 37 out of 40 in overall health of our citizens. 37th. Now, here's what's interesting. In America, I know we think we are the entire world, but really our population, we only make up about 5 to 7% of the entire world population. That's how big we are. But we still take 62% of the world's drugs, and we spend twice as much as any other country on health care. So let me ask you this, okay? Common sense. If we spend twice as much as any other country and we take 62% of the world's drugs, if spending more money and taking more drugs meant healthier people, don't you think we'd be a little bit higher up than 37th? And the fact is that, drugs and surgery, those types of things can save your life if you're in a crisis, but they will never make you healthy. Never. Now, this is the statistics, and I took this straight from the Journal of the American Medical Association. So that means this is their journal, the medical journal that's edited and produced by medical doctors. Okay, they put this out. They said in the year 2000 that cardiovascular disease was the number one cause of death. 750,000 people a year died. My mother was one of them. She died of heart disease, right? Cancer was the second leading cause of death in America. They said 500,000 people a year died of cancer. My grandfather died of lung cancer last year, so he's a statistic there. But they said that the third leading cause of death was actually the medical system. And they break it out for you right there. Iatrogenic, which means accidental, that was 180,000 deaths. That's the equivalent of 3 jumbo jets going down every 2 days, by the way. I think they would shut that airline down if that ever happened. But 88,000 nosocomial infections. That means those people got an infection in the hospital. 106,000 non-error. Okay, that means that the drug you took was the exact right drug, prescribed for the exact right reason, but you just had a bad reaction to it and it killed you. I saw this, I heard a story yesterday from a patient that told me she knew a grandmother who gave their I think she was 3 years old or 5 years old, gave them a double dose of cough medicine, and the little kid passed away in its sleep. And I don't say that to scare you at all, but it's actually a true story. So you have to be extremely careful with medications. And then 225,000 people died of just medical error. They just screwed up. So okay, those are our statistics. Now, again, I'm not saying anything bad about medicine, but I am saying this. Look, if I can show you how to make some changes now that will decrease your chances of ever getting heart disease, that will decrease your chances of ever developing cancer, and then therefore completely decreasing your chances of ever even having to be in the medical system, don't you think I can help you live a longer, healthier life if I can do that, right? That's all I'm saying. Now, in my opinion, there are 3 different types of symptoms. That's not even in my opinion. This is a fact, okay? I'm sorry. It's an absolute fact. There's 3 different types of symptoms. Number 1 is a warning or an alarm, okay? Now, that would be back pain, neck pain, headaches. There's a reason you have a pain. You can take a pain pill all day long. All that does is stop the pain fibers. It blocks that information from getting to the cortex of your brain. It doesn't do absolutely jack squat to actually help you correct the problem that's causing the pain, right? So it's your body trying to tell you, look, this is a pain here, there's a problem here, let's get it done, let's get it fixed. Now, the other type of symptom is part of the cure. It's actually part of the cure. So we're looking at fever, vomiting, diarrhea. Can you believe that's part of the cure? And we fight it. So when someone gets a fever, what do? We stuff Tylenol down your throat trying to stop your fever. Did you know that there are some immune system cells that don't even get activated until your fever hits 101? So you're stopping your immune system from even working, and the fever is part of the cure. Vomiting and diarrhea, that's how your body gets stuff out. What's going to happen if you drink poison? Well, most likely, if your body's working properly, if you're healthy, you're going to start vomiting because that poison's not supposed to be there in your stomach. Or you're going to have diarrhea. That's a way that you get toxins out. And I'll give you an example. Anybody remember back several years ago there was a spinach outbreak? It was E. coli in the spinach. You couldn't get spinach anywhere. Well, E. coli, or that outbreak, killed 18 people. It killed 18 people. Now, here's the interesting thing about that is that E. coli is what we call a self-limiting bacteria. That means that if you get E. coli, your body's going to get it out of your system through diarrhea or vomiting. I mean, it doesn't kill you. You just get rid of it. But here's what happened with these 18 different people, and we learned a lot. Medicine learned a lot in this, is when E. coli gave them diarrhea, they took Imodium AD and stopped it up. When their bodies wanted to vomit that back up, they took an anti-nausea to stuff it down. And then their body could not get rid of this toxin, and it killed them. So sometimes the symptom is part of the cure, and you have to pay attention to that. Now, the worst symptom of all is no symptom. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. No symptom sometimes is the worst. Heart disease, my mom died of a heart attack at the age of 47, and she died in her sleep with her hands folded over her tummy. That wasn't even a bad enough symptom to wake her up from sleeping. My grandfather, who passed away, I told you he passed away of lung cancer, he had a little cough. He had a little rinky-dink cough, and he decided to go to the doctor and just check it out. When they checked it out, he had stage 4 terminal cancer, they found. And the only symptom he had was a little cough. It was hardly a symptom at all. So sometimes symptoms are a blessing, guys. Now, I know I rock a lot of people's worlds by telling people this. So I get a lot of questions like, well, how do I know if I'm healthy then? I'm going to tell you this. Health is when your body is functioning properly. If your body's functioning optimally, that means you're healthy. So we have to start looking at the function of the body. Now, I always should tell everybody, you're on some point of this continuum, okay? 0 is death, and 10 is completely healthy. You're some number along that right now. Now, medicine is awesome in keeping you from hitting that 0. If you're falling towards that 0, medicine can stop you before you die. It can stop you from hitting that 0, and it can save your life, and thank God for that. But at the same time, it's not medicine's responsibility to get you all the way to that 10. That 10 is as healthy as you can be, and that is your responsibility. If you don't believe me, try this. Go into your local hospital, go into the emergency room, and just go up to the counter and say, ring the little bell and say, I need to get checked in. I want to get healthy. I want some wellness over here. Can anybody help me out? I'd like to be healthy. They're going to check you in all right. You have to wear one of those funny little jackets on your way back, but I'm just kidding. But they're going to refer you somewhere else because that's just not what they do. They don't make people well. I mean, they just don't. I mean, they do make people. They save people's lives, but they don't make them as healthy as they can be. They don't get you the 10. That's your responsibility. Hopefully you understand that. So here's the big question. How do I achieve health in a stressful environment? And I apologize for my picture there on the left. That was me waking up this morning. I hadn't done my hair yet, but I'm just kidding. But this is how we achieve health in a stressful environment. There are two strategies, okay? Number one is a no-brainer. We try to reduce all the physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that we possibly can in our life. We try to cut them out, right, because we know how dangerous they are. But let's be realistic. Not everybody's going to just be able to cut all the stress out of their life. So number two is we actually improve our body's ability to adapt to stress. So remember that continuum we just talked about with 0 to 10? Get this. The closer you are to that 10, the healthier you are, the less stress is going to bother you, the less stress response you're going to have in your body. So we need to get you all the way to that 10. And I'm going to give you 4 keys right now. 4 keys that if you start implementing that will help you to get that 10. But I want to warn you first. Just because these 4 keys don't come to you wrapped in a little shiny bow and that with the stamp on the side of it called The Secret, okay, doesn't mean that these 4 keys cannot change your life forever. So pay close attention here. The first key to wellness is the innate diet. Guys, we strive to eat 65% fruits and vegetables, 35% healthy proteins. This is not McDonald's hamburgers. This is healthy meat, grass-fed meat, and then 1 cup a day of grain, if any, right? Now I'm going to give you a little shot. If you're nowhere close to this innate diet, just start adding fruits and vegetables to your diet. Just do that. God put all the nutrients we need in fruits and vegetables, and you need those nutrients in your body to be healthy. Now here's what I want you to start with before you even get to the fruits and vegetables. You've got to be doing 2 things for me. This is baseline. You've got to be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep and drinking 3 to 6 liters of water a day. Start that immediately. Immediately. It's so important to your body to have 7 to 8 hours of sleep and drink 3 to 6 liters of water a day. If you're really analytical, if you're one of those left brain dudes and you're like 3 to 6, that's a crazy, that's huge, difference. Well, just do this, okay? Take half of your weight and then convert that to ounces and drink that many ounces if you want to get exact. Like I weigh about 200 pounds, so I would drink 100 ounces of water a day. And you can do it. I know you can do it. That's not too much water. Just try it, okay? Trust me, you're going to see some major, major differences. And then start eating more fruits and vegetables. Now, here is another little secret, number 2 key to wellness, and also a dirty word. It's exercise. Okay, guys, you got to exercise. I don't care if you walk in your office or you park in a parking lot so you walk every day. That doesn't count. You've got to exercise at least 3 days a week, 15 to 30 minutes per workout. Now, if you just absolutely refuse to exercise, then at least increase your functional exercise. And by functional exercise, I mean, if there's a 2-story building, take the stairs and not the elevator, right? That's increasing your functional exercise. If instead of driving around for an hour in the parking lot to get that one spot, to wait for that one spot to open right by the front door, park in the back of the parking lot and make yourself walk all the way to the front. Increase functional exercise. It'll change your life. But really, guys, get to the gym. It costs like $10 a month, maybe more than that. But you got to exercise. Number 3, the third key to wellness. And this may be one of the biggest, this is the easiest one to implement. You've got to start thinking positive. No more negative thinking, guys. This is a fact. I mean, this is science. I'm not making this stuff up. The University of Pittsburgh did a study where they compared optimists to pessimists. Optimists live longer. If you want to live longer, start thinking positively. Then this study, they actually took women who were optimists, compared them to pessimists. Women who were positive thinkers, they were 30% less likely to die from heart disease, which is awesome, which is the leading cause of death. Okay, they were 14% less likely to die from anything else. They just lived 14% longer than pessimists. Okay, so immediately start thinking positive skills. And actually, it's hard to do, but you can do it. Now, I want to share with you the 4th and final key. And the reason I use this as the 4th key is because it's the most what's the opposite of well known? It's not known. Okay, nobody practices this key, and that is the nervous system. Okay, we get adjusted because our nervous system is the master system of the body. Let me explain this to you. You have an innate intelligence in your body that conducts every function of the body. If you had to think about your body functioning, you wouldn't have time in the day to do anything else, because you'd be trying to get the food you ate to get digested, then take the nutrients from the food you ate and take it to the exact cell that needed it in the right amount. And then, you'd have to also, while you're doing that, remember that your heart has to beat at a certain speed. Don't forget to breathe, because that's important. All of those functions in your body that they just happen because innate intelligence is there. That innate intelligence is controlled and coordinated through your nervous system, your brain and spinal cord and all those nerves. So that system, that master system, has to be functioning right if your body's going to be functioning right. And so in chiropractic, we correct what we call subluxations. What is a subluxation? A subluxation is a misalignment of the spine that causes nerve interference to organ, cells, and tissues of the body, leading to symptoms, disease, and system failure. Guys, get your spine checked. Now I want to show you. This is what I'm talking about. A lot of people think chiropractic is just for neck and back pain, and chiropractic is great for neck and back pain, but it's so much more than that. If you look at this nervous system on your right, these are the nerves that come from your spine that control everything: your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, your bladder, your colon, your intestine, your reproductive organs. And if there's any pressure on any of those nerves, then that innate intelligence can't coordinate or the function of whatever nerve that goes to, of whatever organ, will not function at 100%. And I can't get that through it. If you get anything from this talk, get this, that you have an innate intelligence in your body, and that all we need to do is remove the interference and allow that innate intelligence to function at 100%, and you will be healthy and you will heal. I want to share with you a couple of x-rays real quick. Now, this is a 40-year-old lady who came in the office, and, man, she had neck pain, radiating arm pain, lots of other health issues. But this is her x-ray. And since you can't see me pointing at the screen here, I want to show you. This is her facing. If you're looking at your screen, she's facing your left, okay? So that's her jaw right way up in the top left corner. It's the back of her head in the top right corner. And that's the curve in her spine. Let me just tell you, that curve in her spine should be curving the other way. That's what we call a negative curve. It's actually curving the wrong way. I want to show you, after a course of care in our office, her re-x-ray. Can you see how her spine went from negative to positive, how it has that natural smooth curve now? And that, her symptoms are gone. Not only does she not have neck pain and radiating arm pain, but rheumatoid arthritis is better, asthma is better, more energy. Now, does the chiropractic adjustment cure rheumatoid arthritis or asthma or anything else? No, but what it does is it allows the brain to communicate with the body through the nervous system and removes interference to that innate intelligence that controls the function of your body. So if your body's functioning better, then guess what? Asthma can get better. Or, anything can get better if your body's functioning right, because that innate intelligence is so powerful. Now, this one is awesome. Margaret, she's only 4 years old. She had strep throat. She had over 50 rounds of antibiotics since she was born. She's only 4. She had ear infections all the time. They told her she needed to put tubes in her ears. This little girl, after 6 weeks of care, I want you to see her x-ray and see that curve that's in her neck there. Now, this is what's cool. Her sinus is cleared up. Her ear infections completely stopped. She hadn't had another round of antibiotics. She doesn't need them anymore because she doesn't have ear infections. And her medical doctor, when found out she wasn't having ear infections anymore, just said it was spontaneous remission. So that's what they call it, when you stop having ear infections. And when your nervous system starts working right, it's called spontaneous remission, I guess. Just kidding. That was a joke. All right, now this one is my last set of x-rays I want to share with you, and this is the closest to my heart. When my mom passed away, I decided, I wanted to see what her spine looked like. She had no idea about chiropractic, and I went on to chiropractic school. I graduated from chiropractic school. Well, I went back several years later to all the hospitals that she had been to, and I wanted to gather all of her imaging, and I wanted to see what her spine looked like. Well, I did. I gathered over $100,000 worth of imaging, x-rays, CT scans, MRIs of my mom. And I have to tell you, this is not my mother. This is not my mom here because of all those x-rays, of all those MRIs, of all those CT scans that I picked up, not one of them were of her spine. Not one picture of the spine. We had x-rays of knees, foot, ankle, head, MRI, CT scans of her brain, her liver, her gallbladder, everything that she had a symptom in or hurt or had a pain, they got an image of it. They took a picture of it. But because her spine didn't hurt, her back didn't hurt, they didn't even look at her spine. They don't, and I'm not upset at the medical system for that. I mean, that's not their job. In fact, I'm upset with chiropractors for not telling my mom that she needed to get her spine checked, because that her spine could also be a problem and a reason why her body wasn't functioning like it was supposed to. So I want you to take a look at this x-ray with me, though. This is a young girl named Lisa. She's only 17 years old. She has menstrual problems, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic low back pain, and guess what? Scoliosis. So this is a different image. You're looking right at the spine here. This is where the spine should be straight. Should be straight up and down, and you can see a major kink in her spine. And guys, it's not a coincidence that misalignment is right where those nerves go to her bowel, go to her colon and intestines and her low back, and those are the problems that she's having. So I want to show you her re-X-rays after 6 months, and she's doing great. She doesn't have irritable bowel syndrome. She doesn't have menstrual problems. She doesn't have low back pain, and it continues to get better. Why? Because she continues to get adjusted, just wellness adjustments. It continues to improve. You can see it's not perfect yet, but it's significantly improved, and it's changed her life forever. And I like to think that this young lady is going to grow up and live a long, healthy life and live so many more years, so far past the age of 47, that she's going to be able to see her kids grow up and her grandkids grow up. And that's why I do what I do, and that's why we share this and have this talk, because, guys, I want you to understand that the chiropractic adjustment, it's bigger than back pain. It's so powerful. It will literally change your life forever, and you should get checked and your family should get checked for subluxation. We should be checked at birth or early in life and continue to be checked throughout life. And so if you're listening in on this webinar tonight, I want to present a special gift, a completely free spinal checkup. This is a $150 value, which includes your exam, your nerve scans. It also includes any necessary x-rays, and then your report of findings. I'll even pay for your first adjustment if I find out that you have subluxation. I'll show you what the chiropractic adjustment is, and you can go from there and decide what you want to do from there. But I really strongly feel that everybody should have their spine checked. If not routinely throughout life, at least have it checked once. So, guys, that's all I have for you. I just want to thank you so much for being on the line. By the way, the special gift is only good for the next 48 hours. And if you call our office, tell me that you were on the webinar, then we'll grant that free spinal checkup, $150 value. So, again, thank you all for coming. My office is Pure Life Family Wellness. There's the phone number, 281-664-2250. That's 281-664-2250. Give us a call, and we'll get you scheduled, or a loved one or a friend as well. So check us out, and appreciate you being online. We'll talk to you later. All right, we're going to stop the recording here. I'm going to stay on for just a little bit. If you guys want to ask any questions or anything, I'll be here. Let's see.